Hello and welcome to Talking Horses on this final day of racing at Belmont for 2023. I'm going to shed a tear, Sarah, I promise. Welcome to the show, Maggie Wolfendale and Sarah El-Badwi. Pleasure to do Talking Horses with you today. Looks as though the storms are holding off as of now. I think that's why scratches were a little late coming out. I know public hasn't quite seen all of them. We'll try to make sure we pay attention to the horses that have come out throughout the card.
And a lot of adjustments being made
especially for
both of
Sarah.
But that's okay. Got to roll with the punches, and just looking forward to getting up to Saratoga, but still a decent card on tap today for closing day of Belmont, and we won't be back here for quite some time.
I know.
Got to savor the moment.
This is like home for me. But yeah, opening day up at Saratoga. It is just around the corner. July 13th, this Thursday, opening day at Saratoga. Don't forget, we do have an early post time today, so that's why we're on a half an hour early. Well, kind of 15 minutes early. So now with the adjusting to the late scratches. But as always, if you want to play along with us today, make sure you do so with a NYRA Bets account. New members can use promo code bonus200 and earn up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Check out nyrabets.com. We also have a 20% deposit bonus. Deposit $150, bet $150 at Belmont, and get a 20% bonus for Saratoga. I mean, talk about a get-out deal. You got to opt in, though, at nyrabets.com. Don't forget, we do have a mandatory payout on the early pick 5 as well. And per usual, middle pick 4. Check it out coming up in the middle of the card as well. And we will have the cross-country pick 5 today, sharing duties with Monmouth Park. Starts off in their 6th race and culminates with their 10th, which is the Irish War Cry Stakes. We're doing some channel hopping today as we kick off the show on FS1 from 12:30 to 3, FS2 for an hour, and then back on FS1 for the final hour, 4 to 5 p.m. As we'll kick things off with the babies, of course, a top pick scratched here. We do see scratches of the 1 and the 4. I was really interested in Tough Love Torres. Not going to play today, but Sarah, let's first start things off with 2 fillies in here that have run on the turf and did so admirably back on June 15th.
They did, and it's always great to have that experience edge in races like this with these 2-year-old babies just getting a start under their belt, trying to figure out what's going on in the world of racing, and they both ran pretty well.
We'll check out their replay now.
Yes, and Nikki Jolene was one that I would say had perhaps a little bit of a better trip, broke pretty sharp.
Yep. I would agree.
Able to save some ground, got over to the inside and sat off of the pace setter. So being able to pass horses and kind of figure out everything as she went along, while as the other one in here grabbed the glory.
That was a steady.
Yeah, out a little bit further in here than that one. Had to wait in behind horses a little bit more. And I just felt as though Nikki Jolene ran the better race of the two.
I do apologize. That wasn't Grab the Glory. That was the other horse.
That was the other part of the entry, correct?
Right.
Scram.
Now, the 1A, she steadies slightly. She breaks well, but she kind of finds herself a little bit further back than what we saw from Nikki Jolene here. Now, I honestly, like I said, I scratched in to Grab the Glory just because I really liked her in the paddock. And typically, with Linda Rice, her horses need a start. And I thought that Nikki Jolene ran great here, and I'm not going to be surprised when she wins. But I just thought she looked more ready for her debut, so therefore it's a logical result, and I feel like there's a lot more improvement possibly with Grab the Glory second time out.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you have those horses, sometimes they're really cranked to go first time out. Maybe they take a little bit of a step backwards second time out. We'll see what happens in here as Nikki Jolene does get Irad Ortiz Jr. Grab the Glory with Jose Ortiz battling it out the last day for those jockey standings. Still pretty close, but I think Jose has the edge still, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
He does.
So we'll see what happens with that today. I went to a first-time starter. Omaha Beach has gotten off to a great start at studs so far. You are familiar with his turf sprint winner.
3 for 6.
So I think that he can do quite well. Though he never won on the turf, he did start his career on that surface and ran well, all in the money in those couple of tries. Maury's first time starting 2-year-old stats don't jump off the page, but not that many in the sample have been on the grass.
You know what really put a sour taste in my mouth about? I thought about it because I am a big fan of the Omaha Beaches.
Tell me why you don't like this horse.
He had that first time starter take all that money a couple days ago on the turf and she hardly
Not
did
run
any
well.
running.
Was Sea Dancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did not do that well.
So I kind of was like,
that's a fair point.
I'm scared. Like,
Okay.
I respect, but I kind of wanted to take the wait and see approach with her.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I was just looking for a slightly better price than some of those ones with experience will be, because I feel as though they're going to take quite a bit of money.
My husband's horse, number 5, Find Your Joy. Central Baker, not a great turf influence, though the Dam, she was very proficient on the turf. I do think this one will need a start A, B, probably a little bit more ground.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment.
Race number 2, 6 furlongs on the main track, 14 beaten Claimer. As we saw major scratch in here of Luna Loca. She was going to return off of a quick layoff, dropping way down for Linda Rice. She won't play today. First, we'll start the conversation with, I thought you were going to pick her, honestly. I thought you were going to pick Swedish Sugar on top.
I thought so too, and then I decided not to.
Still want to look at a replay?
Sure, why not?
Let's look at a replay from her last effort back on April 6th. She was well behind, but this was a quick pace she got to close into, Sarah.
And she was actually favored this day. She made up a lot of ground, but you're right. The pace was pretty fast in front of her. The horse that ends up winning this race was sitting much closer to those early fractions. So in races that are less competitive at these lower levels, I do like to see horses kind of overcome something, pass horses, make up some ground. So she does have that to her credit. But at the same time, I think this race is a tougher field than what she was facing that day, even though she was able to make that run in the later stages.
Now, my problem for her is that, and while I respect the job that Lolita Shipman Gold does, and her horses are always really well turned out, she was supposed to get it done when dropping back on February 12th for Jeremiah Engelhardt. She was 3-5 that day, and she was bad. So I thought there was nobody else that could touch her, and she stunk the joint up. So again, she kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth. Then Liberty Flame, she was, talk about one that was bad last time. She was 4-5, clear speed, set a tepid pace, and was not able to see the job done. Fading badly, beaten 9 3/4 lengths. That's a big margin of defeat.
Right. That's obviously a knock against her. I will say, though, that race was at a mile. Perhaps getting the cutback in distance will help her a little bit. And she was the inside speed that day, whereas Simple Sugar was to her outside, pressing her. Roles are reversed in this spot. And Omar Hernandez Moreno, with the weight break, has won on her before. So maybe she just gets a little bit of relief with the cutback in distance, a little bit of a weight allowance, and maybe finds herself as the controlling speed in this race.
Right. I think the scratch of Luna Loca helps her quite a bit. So I was, all in on her last time. And again, another one that just left me, wanting. As I land on number 5, Justin Nyquist. Let's go back to her last win, which was at Aqueduct on March 26th. Now, it was a voided claim that day, but Connections automatically, doubled her claiming price when stepping her up. And I thought she ran respectably after that, albeit in off the turf race, but behind Icy Stare Down, who is in good form as of now. And look, she's passed here by a horse on her outside, and she does battle back. I mean, last time on the turf, complete throwout race. The jock lost the irons, never in contention, doesn't want to sprint on the turf. I think she's back with her friends in a spot where she can be competitive.
I agree with that. I think that this spot suits her really well, but I will say that the horse that did pass her, New York Supreme, she has this one run.
You can't get in her way.
You can't trust this horse to really continue accelerating and going by horses and being consistent with that one split that she does have. So I think she was a little bit lucky in that respect, that was the horse that passed her.
I couldn't disagree. We're dealing with non-3 life horses.
Exactly.
So,
but
it's what they
But I agree that this spot suits her well, and she should be competitive. I picked her second.
All right, moving on to race number 3, the third leg of this mandatory early pick 5. That mandatory payout, I should say, early pick 5.
Mandatory. You must play.
You must play it. No. You'll get paid if you do, though. But mile and a 16th on the turf course for the fillies. And we'll take a look here at idea generation. I think, she is where the topic of conversation begins, because she was one that was involved in that strange race where only half the field finished because there was a miscommunication with the tractor still being on the turf, blah, blah, blah. Then they thought so much of her, they try her in the PG Johnson. Then here, watch her early, Sarah. She got a bit rank here. She's number 3. She's sitting third there, 2 off the rail. And look, she's getting a little bit headstrong. And I think, because she is headstrong, the way she was able to finish, I think speaks of her talents. Now, we haven't seen her. She's getting a little bit of a late start here on turf season, but I think there's another move forward as a 3-year-old.
I agree. I think there's just that natural progression from 2 to 3, and we know Chad Brown does very well off layoffs like this. I was actually given a tip on her in that first race. I was like, don't bet against her. She's going to win. And then once the race was a no contest and a non-wagering event, I was like, well, I guess you were right in a way. Couldn't lose my money. So she just made a lot of sense in here coming off of the layoff, and this was a good effort from her after being so keen early on, like you mentioned. Perhaps she's just allowed to go forward today, too.
And that's the thing. There isn't that much speed in here.
And another one scratched out. So.
Right. And so that's what really hurts Chad's other horse, I think, Chili Flag, who seems pace dependent.
Right. And she was favored or short price in both of her starts so far in the U.S. She has no early speed whatsoever.
I mean, I think it was because I think more people wanted Butte Cachet. Sorry. Beau Cachet. Yeah. Sorry. My French is terrible.
Where's Acacia?
Yeah, right? I know. I married an Englishman. She married quasi-French. So Chili Flag. Yeah, I just think that the lack of pace in here really hinders her chances.
Right. And they bet Irad Ortiz Jr. a little bit more than Flavien Prat. So if she ends up actually going off as the favorite, I'd rather take the horse who I think is going to be in front of her at the very least, if not in front of them all.
Well, speaking of the French connection, we have She's a Mia in here, a New York bred who got pretty good despite, contesting that winter memory stake over a pretty soft course. Her 2 prior to that, it was good. They were good, but they were against New York breds. Can she take another step forward now as a 4-year-old?
That's the question. I have to not totally hold the state bred form against her because as a 2-year-old, she did run second in the Tepin. I don't want to totally dismiss her as being able to take on open company. And maybe it was more the yielding ground last time than the class of the field she was facing, though she didn't run that well. Now gets a little bit of a layoff and comes back as the 4-year-old. And here, she was just the other one that I wanted in this race that is a small, compact field. Yeah. think that she can maybe sit a little bit closer than a horse like Chili Flag, too.
And Sweet Duchess will make her first start for the Bill Mott barn after being privately purchased by these Now Connections. Bill Mott doesn't necessarily have great numbers. First off, a trainer change on the turf, 4 for 44 with a 50-cent ROI.
And this one has so many seconds and thirds, but only the one win. I don't love to see that either.
Yeah, as we will move on to race number 4, which kicks off the mandatory payout on the pick 6 here. As always, with these closing day cards, everything's a mandatory payout. As the maiden 40s go the 6 furlongs on the turf course, we did see a major scratch of yet another Linda Rice horse. Variable cost will not play. Figured to take some money, but let's start with the proverbial horse to beat in here, Sarah, and that is number 7, Luna Warrior, who ran very well, albeit off of a bit of a layoff. Ray Handel kind of packed the 1-2 punch where he sent a first-time starter to the lead, softened up Luna Warrior for Billy's got issues to run him down late.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I liked with Luna Warrior that this horse was sitting second, and then Javier took him to the outside of that pace setter. And it was a long way back to the third place finisher in that race that we'll take a look at. I mean, this horse was just a part of a pace that the other pace setter, who's honestly probably not that good, but he fell apart in the later stages, and then the other Ray Handel ended up running this one down. He just makes a lot of sense in here. He's going to get a forward position, not going to be all the way out in post 11 in this shorter field. There's a brief freshening for him before this, so perhaps second off of that, he's just so much the horse to beat. And with the shot that I wanted to take against him scratching out, I scratch into him on top.
I hear you. We'll also see Fire Baron and Lawful and Bill of Rights, who I thought was a little bit interesting because completely blew the break. And as we saw, granted, Billy's Got Issues was further back, but the race, kind of played out a little bit more forwardly. And he did make up some ground late. I thought, too, he just didn't look that fit in his debut, so he could move forward. But I opted to go with a first-time starter in here, and that's number 4. excuse me, 5. Veselski. For Dave Donk, son of Practical Joke. The dam went 4 for 15 on the turf, made nearly $200,000. This one half to a multiple graded stakes winning turf sprinter, Mr. Gruff. There's another turf winner in the family, and he reaches out to Rod Ortiz. Not that that means everything, but
a little something.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. You have him second in here. I wasn't thrilled with the horses you have run. Look, Luna Warrior's a 5-year-old trying to break his maiden. I know he hasn't had that many chances, but I wanted just a new face in this crew, and I thought there was enough pedigree there with that does not roll off your tongue, Veselski.
I just keep thinking Mike Wazowski. I don't know why. But yeah, I saw the same things you did with the pedigree. I don't necessarily love Practical Jokes on the turf, but he does have good debut stats.
Sprinting,
Yes.
they're okay. So the 6 furlongs I like.
Right. And while the dam's yet to produce a debut winner, this is a good field to make your first start against.
Exactly. They're being aggressive with him. So you don't have the 4 anywhere. I thought there's not much pedigree on the bottom. The dam won 1 race. But Cantheros, I do love his influence sprinting on the turf. And with a race that's not laden with speed, obviously Luna Warrior has some, but typically some going further than 6 furlongs. Kasimba looked like he could be the lone speed in here.
Yeah, if that dirt speed does translate, the Cantharoses do fine on the turf, pretty well, in fact. I mean, there's some dam side pedigree, so we'll see what we get from him. Ultimately, he ended up being the infamous 5th pick in here.
Love. We needed it today.
Yeah, absolutely.
With our the late changes that we saw.
Yes.
So, are we taking a break here, guys? I never know. It's only Andy who knows. Let's go to race 5, and then we'll take a break. We'll get through 2 legs and cap off the early pick 5, which is a maiden special weight for the 2-year-olds going the 5.5 furlongs. And we saw a lot of defections in here, namely one that had experience in Rockstar Boy, but it feels like the race is going to fall into the hands of Todd Pletcher. You put him second. I have him on top via scratches. Number 9 Hall. They paid $260,000 for this guy after working 9 and 4. Let's take a look at it back in the OBS April sale. A lot of horses were working fast at this sale, to be fair. But this guy really wasn't asked much. Army Mule has gotten off to such a good start. I mean, this is his second crop. They can handle dirt, turf. They're primarily sprinters as he was. But, I mean, for a smaller looking compact horse, this guy really covers some ground.
And just seemed extremely professional as well. I mean, the rider wasn't really doing too much with him, didn't really ask him for too much. You didn't see him have to correct him about anything, just very much so about his business and moving quickly as well. This one just seems very logical for Eclipse. I mean, there's good work since then. You mentioned the pedigree. There's a lot going on here that makes this horse a likely extremely short price, but also a likely winner.
Let's go to the horse you put on top. That's number 7, Devil's Playground. They paid a lot for this Son of Into Mischief as a yearling. But for me, the dam was 4 for 20 on the turf. Really wasn't much beyond that. You know, for $400,000, I get it. Into Mischief stands for $250, fine. But I was hoping for just a little more substance on the bottom.
Right. I think it's more just that I appreciate the precocity of the dam side pedigree more so than the actual
achievements.
Yes, exactly, of what they were able to accomplish. And for the siblings as well, I mean, she was second on debut at 2, even though that was on the synthetic, but that was a sprint race. One of the foals won on debut, another one was second first time out. So perhaps a win early type of pedigree. And I will say, of the 11 2-year-olds that Mark Casse has debuted at Belmont on the dirt, he is 73% in the money, so they do show up, even though that is a small sample size. This is likely just a starting point for this horse, probably wants to do something else going forwards, but Hall is going to be such a short price. I had to look a little bit elsewhere for somebody that made a little sense.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You know, the minute and 4 is respectable. What bothered me, and it's hard to judge workouts when they're just, you know, numbers on a piece of paper, but the 49 and 2 out of the gate doesn't speak of having too
Gate
much speed,
Right.
which bothers me a little bit going the 5.5 here. So I thought, as you have him fourth, Ridgewood Runner, a little bit interesting. I didn't mind the work. Probably a little bit more meant for turf, though. Did work that 10 flat. Kind of moves well, kind of kept finding some gears to go through, but definitely more of a turf pedigree, the dam being a full sister to Recepta and Defiant Honor.
And this one had a good work last time out as well, bullet work, so might
I
have
like
a
the
little bit of
47
speed.
from the gate, yeah.
Right, maybe thinking that this one could be quick out of there, even if this horse does eventually want to go over to the grass. So I ended up putting this one fourth, another interesting first-timer. What about the other Pletcher? How are we saying this name?
I mean, I butcher everyone's name. So Falfurrius? I don't know. Run Happy, but on the bottom, it's all turf.
Right, right. So I thought that this one probably wants to do something else in the future as well. So
yeah.
Interesting race.
It is an interesting race. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the paddock, as that will complete the early pick 5 with that mandatory payout. Stay tuned. We'll take a break here on Talking Horses.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Thank you to our friends over at Saratoga Water for bringing you Talking Horses each and every race day. I know, stay hydrated with some Saratoga water up at the spa, because I think it's going to be hot again.
It's probably going to be a hot summer. It's been hot so far.
Hot and steamy, as it usually is for July and the first part of August, as we'll jump into this pick 4, late pick 4 that we see here. Race number 6, mile and a 16th, claiming 30, none to life. Sarah, I struggled greatly with this race, and at the end, I just copped out with Paratus because I actually think he ran the best race last time of the horses that come out of there, including Spetro and Ghostly Prince, who I'm sure a lot of people will make the case for he had nowhere to run late.
Right. This is a race that I ended up taking a lot of the runners out of, just not on top, because I actually had a lot of interest in the 2 in here, but this horse has been just dropped gradually in class. They put the blinkers on last time, just barely getting second. Provision is a horse for the Weaver Barn that has run very well in the past, so I don't think totally disgraced in that second place finish. I mean, I think maybe a little bit of frustration that he wasn't able to get the win this time, but he ran very well. He was wide, had to close, just barely missed in there.
And he was wide on a day where you wanted to save ground on that turf course, on the inner turf course.
Right.
The rails were down, and he was just on a wide hunt throughout, launching a 4-wide bid around the turn. It's very hard to win turf races, especially on an inner turf course configuration with that kind of style. So I felt, and there were slow fractions up front too. I mean,
Right.
I know Provision closed into him as well, but you know, Spetro, he was able to hold on for third and through those slow fractions with the racetrack. I wanted to put Spetro in front on top because I thought, well, maybe he could wire this field, but the fact he couldn't do it last time with everything his own way.
Yeah. I know. And you think that, okay, he's going to be the speed again, but if he couldn't handle walking in front and still getting the job done, then that's a knock against him.
As I look at, are the rails? Yeah, the rails are a little bit out, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he probably finds himself on the lead again in here, maybe can sustain it now, but I didn't really see that happening. I took a little bit of a wild card with Mighty Atlas, who is putting the blinkers on. I know.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, wasn't that race last time just such tougher company than he's going to be facing today?
Yeah, but he didn't.
You don't have a lot of confidence in this horse, do you?
No running.
You're making me rethink my selections,
Okay, well,
Maggie.
this is my husband and my argument about unifieds. I vehemently disagree that unifieds are turf horses, but he thinks they are. So.
Is this like a dinner table, like fight conversation?
No, this is he'll be texting me now to say, shut up
See?
or something. I mean, I hope he wins. Look, but I'm being objective here, and I don't see him winning. But I'm going to wish you the
I
best.
picked the 2.
The best.
You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I couldn't prepare
the 2 was interesting.
Wasn't he?
Yeah.
I've been chasing that horse for a long time. I'm going to have to chase him for another day.
I know.
Such is life. Maybe we'll see him at Saratoga. But just facing such tough company in the past, I know that he did no running, as you mentioned, but that was also his turf debut, and I'm just hoping that Javier Castellano and those blinkers can make a big difference in here, since the quality of company is just not the same as what he was facing in there.
All right. Coolioso, most wanted man, is probably going to take money. I know he comes off of very poor effort, but it was May 20th at Gulfstream. That turf course is pretty
not
roughed
in the
up.
best condition.
Pretty roughed up. And he launched this wide move down the backside. I was willing to forgive him for that effort because consistently he has run races that do make him a major player here.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with him, but I get what you're saying about the condition of the turf course and that race.
You could just see as soon as he broke, he was like, oh, I don't really like this.
Yeah.
You know, he just didn't look comfortable.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe he won't look comfortable out here. That's
not going to take a Herculean effort to win here.
No, as we see a return of a very promising New York bred coming up in race number 7, going the 6 furlongs as You're My Girl will make her 3-year-old debut for John Terranova. I became a very big fan of her, Sarah, in just her brief 3 starts so far as a 2-year-old. She will pick up Luis Saez, Joel Rosario off his mounts today. I don't know why, but let's take a look back at her runner-up effort in the Grade 1 for Zet.
And this was after she had won on debut. That was for a state-bred company, so this was a big step up for her to run in this graded stakes race won by Chocolate Gelato, and I think she ran pretty well to finish second. She was a part of the early fractions in there, and she hung on well, so I have nothing against her for this effort. Maybe you downgraded a little because it was on a track like this where it was a very sloppy surface, but she's run well on a fast track before too, and you can be very forgiving of a Breeders' Cup effort where she actually didn't even run that badly, finishing 5th. So 3-year-old debut now, and John Terranova has really good numbers with a move like this. He's 10 for 28 off 180 plus days on dirt, so he's 36% with a huge ROI of $3.70 past 5 years. So just so much to like about this one. I know she's going to be a short price, but I couldn't get past her.
And then you see the scratch of the kind of interesting undefeated horse on the outside, Athena Beach, who was 4 for 4 coming in here, albeit all at Penn National. But it did make her job that much easier, You're My Girl, in this return spot.
Didn't Athena Beach scratch out of another race that she was entered in?
Ooh, I don't remember.
One of the New York Stallion Series stakes?
Oh, that was on the turf? Was she entered the main track?
I think.
I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. So it doesn't matter. She's not playing today.
I know. My brain's just like, what about this?
Toscanova Beauty, I think we both want to give her another chance.
Yeah.
She's an overachiever. Now, granted, all those wins have come at Finger Lakes, so who knows if she can win a race here at NYRA, but she's run respectably. She tried really hard to get to lead, but Angelique is just a superior horse.
Right, and we were wondering why Angelique was such a short price in that race, and then she went out and completely proved that. And I picked her last time. She ran 3rd behind that monster performance, and while she has mostly been successful at Finger Lakes, she has those Saratoga races that are perfectly fine in terms of numbers to fit with a group like this. She also gets a slight cutback from the 7 furlongs to the 6.
Which I really question looking at her if she'd be successful at the 7 furlongs. So this is a much better distance for her. But you do feel as though there's other horses who might want to go here. She might be naturally faster, but you have horses like Miss Stones in here, and maybe You're My Girl is going to show a little bit of speed too.
Possibly. I mean, we had the 9 on the outside potentially going to show some speed, not going to be a factor in here, so maybe that makes her job a little bit easier, but I do agree that the 1 to the inside going to be a speed factor. Another one that I had a little bit of interest in was the 7, I'm Having a Moment, returning to the dirt for Bill Mott. Those turf races, she was slow to break in the 1-2 back, didn't really do much in the last race. So I like her getting back to this surface, and I think she's faced some good New York breds in her dirt starts so far.
There's no doubt about it, but it feels like she broke her maiden first time out, and that was it. There's been no forward regression. If anything, it's been taking some steps back, and I thought that the switch to the turf looked almost like an act of desperation when she was a beaten favorite 3 starts back. And then she was on the good part of the turf course on June 10th, and she just stopped.
Yeah, she did not do well last time.
I mean, maybe it's a wise guy move and moving back to the dirt off of a very poor effort. She'll beat me, though. As race number 8 is a mile and a 16th on the Widener turf course, fillies and mares, and we'll take a starter allowance, I should say. We'll start by talking about Cannon Fire. I think she's a very intriguing proposition in here. We saw her come back to the races nearly a year to the day and get the win over a next time out winner, albeit Peg's AK Girl, who waltzed around on a track that was favoring inside speed. But nonetheless, Cannon Fire, now she's gonna drift
drifts
out, but it's not as exaggerated as the runner-up who was lugging in so badly. So it was this race where I'm like, everybody's like, oh, she took this runner-up's path, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the 2 was lugging in so badly that I think Irad was on that horse, and I think he was just happy that she kind of drifted, so he had an excuse to go up the inside.
I don't think it really made a difference in the results.
So
you know, she is flattered a little bit that Peg's AK Girl did come back to win, and as you mentioned, a perfect setup for her, just getting to, go merry-go-round race around the racetrack. But I will say, Peg's AK Girl did come back the other day and run 3rd.
That's a tougher
spot.
Yep.
So
I think she's in good form.
Right. I will say that bodes a little bit better for her case as beating a decent horse in terms of what we've seen in the competition that she faced, and also just overcoming that much of a layoff as well, being fit and ready to go off a year for Linda Rice. I mean, that's just a huge accomplishment in and of itself. So I think that she's a major player in here.
Now, Accept Temptation, she will come out of that Peg's AK Girl, along with several others in here. Cumberland Falls up her sleeve, and Always Laughing and Don't Mess with Tess, who Don't Mess with Tess is probably the one that's going to take the most money. She was flying late, but she was on, for the most part of that race, the good inside, whereas Accept Temptation was 3 to 4 wide throughout, and I think she made up more ground with a more taxing trip than anyone. So she's the one that I want out of here, 3rd off the layoff for Tom Albertrani.
I agree with that completely. I don't mess with Tess at all. What happened to back? She didn't run a step.
It was weird. I know. Yeah, she's a little hard to trust. I agree.
And especially if she's going to be the favorite in here, which she likely is with Irad Ortiz Jr. board, I want nothing to do with her.
We both used the 1 there for 4th. She, I think, getting less ground is probably ideal for her. She's a little hard on the bridle and also wide in that Peg's AK Girl race. But you have interest in more Mango?
I mean, that was such a tough beat last time if you had that horse. And I don't want Stella Mars moving Barnes to the Chatterpaul barn after going out for Ray Handel and winning in there. But this is a horse that actually has some back races that are okay. I know this was for a $35,000 claiming tag, but this is a horse that can be forward if they choose to go a little bit with her, and just ran so well last time in defeat, just getting nosed out at the very end. I know that this is a tougher group, but this is just one that I think could take another step forward in here. And if she runs back to that number, could at least fit with a group like this at a bit of a price.
All right. Can't knock you for taking a price, as we'll move on to race number 9, the final race of the meeting. And it is a maiden 20 major defection. I think Linda scratched 3 favorites today.
It's okay. She's won the meet anyway. She's fine.
Matter.
She can save him for Saratoga.
Right. Happy Bob is out. Did you have him on top?
I did.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. So we scratch into number 9 in here. How do we both end up on this horse? I thought I was trying to be cute here. When you get to this level, you want to take forwardly placed horses, right?
Right. And you want to take ones that have something different about them this time.
New blinkers. Going from, and I think the world of Jamie Torres, don't get me wrong, but you're going from a 5-pound apprentice to Irad Ortiz.
Right.
Multiple Eclipse award-winning journeyman.
Right.
And I just feel like he's going to be aggressive with One for My Brother with those blinkers on, and needs a strong ride, needs somebody to tell him what to do. And I think Irad will do that.
Yeah, and I mean, that was his dirt debut last time. He takes another slight drop in class from the $30,000 level versus State Breds to this $20,000 tag. just making some changes that make a lot of sense in here. And with the defection of your favorite, I just wanted somebody where I could make a case for something being different about this time than what we've seen from them already. And that ended up being this horse.
I used Runaway Road because I thought he was the other speed, actually probably the main speed in here for Peter Walder, still looking for that first win of the meet, getting blinkers on. Now, you use Chess Spectacular. I thought about it because he's getting back to sprinting on the dirt. But at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of times turf races are naturally faster on the Beyer speed scale figures, but I always thought he was a turf router looking at him. And furthermore, he had the most perfect trip and ride last time and just folded like a cheap suit.
He might not be that good. It's very simple.
I know. It's May 20. Michelle's being aggressive with him, so that's a good
But
thing.
even if you look back to the last time that he was sprinting on the dirt, Peros is the horse that won that race, who has improved quite a bit. So maybe that was a tougher field than what we're looking at today. But again, it's completely possible that he's just not a runner.
He's such a deceiving one. I've always liked him too. And anyway, then I mean, we both use a 6. I think just for
Where else do you
protection's
go?
sake.
I mean.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think his last race was that badly. It was wide and made up some ground. I don't trust that field, but it's not like Swain's in my DNA ran too badly against winners for the first time.
Right, and I mean, that was his only other time on a fast dirt track sprinting aside from his debut, so maybe you make some excuses for him. There just weren't a lot of directions to go in this race following your favorite coming out and just not really seeing a case for a lot of other players in here.
Well, that'll do it.
Close it out.
You know, well done. Tell me, what was your favorite part about working your first kind of full season, if you will, at a NYRA racetrack?
I mean, you can't get over the moment where Jenna Antonucci won the Belmont Stakes with Arcangelo and just seeing the raw emotion from everyone being right out there, being able to say congratulations myself to her and seeing that interview with her and Acacia and, you know, taking the pictures for them and just being a part of that moment as a woman myself, and I know you can just understand that level of accomplishment. You did the interview with her for the feature for Fox, and just being able to see that play out in real time was so cool to be a part of.
I mean, the women have really kicked butt. We have Linda Rice winning her 4th consecutive meet title.
Yep.
We saw Melanie Giddings get her first.
That was so cool.
Right? Her first Greatest Stakes win with the horse named for her. And, I mean, you look at the Katie and Jackie Davis, who have booted home some winners. Jackie a couple days ago for her dad with Vallelujah. And, yeah, I think the girls have really rocked it. And we'll give a little love to Cody's Wish, who's just been spectacular. And looking forward to seeing him at the Spa. What are you looking forward to most?
I mean, if he goes to the Whitney,
yeah,
and we could really see him stretch out and be capable of handling those longer distances. Yeah. I mean, isn't he the best older horse in training right now?
Absolutely, he really is. But we will kick things off with the 2-year-olds up at the Spa. The traditional opening day feature is the Schuylerville. It did draw a field of 11. Really looking forward to that. Hope everyone can join us up there, and if not, as always, you can catch us, well, on our YouTube channel and on Fox Sports.
Absolutely.
And don't forget the only way to play, that is with your NYRA Bets account. If you're not a member, what better way than to, well, pad your account with some get-out money. A lot of mandatory payouts today on the card and get into that Saratoga opening day card. If you're not a member, become one today. Use that promo code BONUS200 and check out NYRABets.com. As well as that 20% deposit bonus. You can just have all kinds of bonuses today. As if you deposit the $150, bet $150 on Belmont, get the 20% bonus back for Saratoga. Make sure you opt in, though, at NYRABets.com. Also, the middle pick 4 today complements some other pick 4s, pick 5s, early pick 5, late pick 5, those mandatory payouts I was talking about. And
mandatory to play.
You must. Beginning at 3 o'clock, 3:01 to be exact, we'll begin the cross-country pick 5. Begins with Mama's 6th race, and it will include the 7th and 8th from us and culminate with the Irish War Cry Handicap, race number 10, over at the Jersey Shore. And as always, you can catch us on America's Day at the Races. Some FS1 coverage today from 12:30 to 3. Jump over to FS2 for an hour and back on FS1 for the final hour of coverage for the final day of racing here at beautiful Belmont Park. Sarah, thank you so much. Job really well done.
Thank you. Great job to you. You don't need me to tell you that, but
it never hurts.
Yeah. You did great, Maggie.
Oh, thanks.
Excellent job hosting.
Well, thank you to all of those who watched this edition of Talking Horses. And Johnny I won't be a reprise. Johnny I will be up with those scratches and changes in a few moments.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.